Hey friend, welcome to day 7 of our Watercolor Tip-a-Day series for World Watercolor Month. I'll never get used to saying that. Today we are learning about washes, flat, graded, and variegated. These are core techniques that you'll use in almost every painting. So let's jump in. So let's start off with what exactly is a wash. So a wash is just a smooth, diluted layer of watercolor paint. And the goal is even coverage without any streaks or backruns or patchy areas. But this is often easier said than done. So let's walk through each type. This is a flat wash, and this is actually one of the most difficult washes to achieve. So your goal here is smooth, even block of color with no streaks or water lines. You'll want to mix more paint than you think you need. If you tilt the top of that paper down, you're going to allow gravity to create this bead here, and then you're just going to continue doing what you did to begin. You just create that line, and we're not fully washing out our brush. We're just dipping it in the water, tapping it on the side of the glass, and then going right back into that paint. But we do want our brush to be wet, and this is going to allow for a full, even coverage of color. Now, if the edges start drying or you do see a harsh line, you can soften it with a clean, damp brush, but you don't want to put too much water in because then you're going to create backruns. So we're just going to go right back over that. So if we want to clean up these edges here, we're just going to use that clean brush and you're just going to drag that paint. But if you don't go all over it completely, you're going to end up with some backruns, which is essentially just like pooling, and the water is sort of going to create unwanted blooms, which would create an uneven layer. So this is how we do our flat wash. And it might be easier if you're a beginner to tape off your edges, maybe create like a square so you don't have to worry about perfecting the edges like I am. But yeah, this is how we create that very even flat wash. Next up is the graded wash. So this one is going to fade from dark to light. So I'm just starting off like I did with the flat wash, and I'm creating this bold strip of color at the top. And then I'm just going to keep going down. And it's important to dip your brush, not swirl it around. Dip it in the water, brush it off like that, and then keep going because you still want that water in there. You're not trying to get rid of the color. You're essentially touching the brush to that bold line and dragging that color down. So we still want the color in the brush. And we're just going to keep doing this. Keep adding water to your brush and tapping it off, but don't fully get rid of it. And then you're just going to keep on dragging. You can blot if you have too much water, but we're just going to keep on dragging down in those back and forth motions until until you're finished with how far you want your gradient to go down. But you can see it's going from dark to light. And the trick here is that you want smooth transitions, so you don't want to let the paper dry too quickly. So you always want it to be wet. And now you see if I add too much water to fix these edges, you're going to see those backruns that I was talking about. So they're these unwanted blooms. And so the water is going up and it's creating those blotchy blooms, which I purposely did. So that's uneven, but they still look pretty. But that will happen. Next up, we have our variegated wash. So this is adding 2 or more colors, and then you want to blend them naturally. So this is my first color, and I'm going to completely wash out this brush and switch to another color. And I want that other color to touch up against my other one, so they blend. So I'll use this scarlet red here. And then I'm going to let those colors touch, and it's just so much fun. Just let them swirl together and do their own magic. And we're just going to do the same thing we've been doing for each wash. Just go back and forth. And then you can also tilt your paper, move them from side to side to sort of make the paper, gravity will pull the water, but you want those two to blend a little more. You can add some water to your brush and slowly, softly try to coax them into one another. And this is going to create some beautiful variegation. So pretty. Just try not to overwork it. And you can go in and fix your edges while it's still damp. This is one where you kind of want to let the watercolor do its own thing. It's just, there's nothing like it. And you can add some more little bleeds in there if you want to put some blooms in. And that's sort of getting into that wet into wet method, which we're going to be going over in the next lesson. So just remember, if your paint starts drying mid-wash, don't panic. You could just tilt your paper, reload your brush with a little water, maybe lightly mist your area. But the key is to keep things moving while the paper is still damp. And this is one of those spots where water control really starts to matter. So if you haven't already, go back and watch my watercolor drills tutorial that I posted yesterday. It's very, very helpful in this. And yes, we're doing another variegated wash because I couldn't decide between the yellow and the blue, and I feel like you can see this a little bit better. Just look how beautiful they blend together. It's one of my favorite things about watercolor. Washes are one of the first techniques that we learn, but honestly, they show up in even the most advanced paintings. So don't stress if yours aren't perfect. Every time you practice, you're training your eye and your hand. And just a heads up, these kinds of washes can feel easier on better quality paper. So if you've been frustrated or if you're using thinner or student grade paper, that might be part of the issue. So just be kind to yourself as you're learning. Thanks for painting with me today. Tomorrow we're diving into wet on wet versus wet on dry, two super simple techniques that completely change how you layer and blend your colors. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it, and I will see you then.